Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Tyren Sheppard, 359-379.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Tyren Sheppard, inmate number 359379. He is serving a sentence of 6 years, 6 months flat for 4 counts of sale of narcotic substance, failure to appear, conspiracy of sale of narcotic substance, and 2 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of April 13th, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed Tier 2 and participated in the Second Chance Health Program. Mr. Sheppard is also currently participating in Voices with a tentative completion date of December 23rd, 2024. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Sheppard, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I want to let the parole know that I take full accountability and responsibility of the crime that I committed. I deserve the time that I got. I had to take a step back and look back what I did, that I could have hurt people and their family. I made a bad choice, which I regret. I took the time to reflect on myself and understand that a 1 minute bad decision got me 6 years. Now I got time as a gift, means that I have to put time to a purpose, which I'm going to get my bachelor's degree in engineering, which will lead me to get my food truck and my barbershop, which will lead me not to sell drugs again. Time can be your friend or your enemy. From this experience, I'd rather let it be my friend. And I'm hoping that parole board will give me a second chance.
Thank you for your statement, sir. We have questions for you, and when we're done, we'll deliberate and give you our decision.
Okay.
We'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Chance.
Okay, so Mr. Sheppard, first, thank you for your opening comments. And I just want to clarify something before I really start questions. You said that you've had no problems with drugs or alcohol, but you did participate in Tier 2 and you've been attending weekly meetings.
Yes.
So did you change your mind? Did you figure out that you do have some sort of problem?
I also went to AA, and like I went to AA on my own to understand where I was messing up at, So like I really took time to like reflect on myself to understand where I was messing up at, and I really know where I had a drinking problem, and I think that I got that under control. Well, I'm sure I got it under control.
I really appreciate you, volunteering to do that. And thank you for sharing that. So my question is, you said that you couldn't get a job because of the 2 DUIs that you had. So you began selling drugs.
Yeah, that's an excuse. Now, when I look at it, that's an excuse, because I could have did something else. Because now, when I talk to my kids, and I got to understand that even my whole family and my little cousins, I'm a big influence to them. So it's like they look up to me, and I can't make that. That's an excuse. It's just totally an excuse.
Well, you sort of sound like a different person today. So tell me how helpful the Tier 2 program was to you. And you mentioned the AA weekly meetings. So can you share a little bit more?
Or the AA? Well, in the AA, they brought like different people from all different backgrounds and come in to tell stories, and little stories that each person that came in there, I took something from those stories that I could relate to, that I was going through. You get what I'm saying? So that's why that's how I acknowledge now that I had a drinking problem. And these are just excuses that I'm making to make me feel good, and which is not, it's not right.
Okay, and what about tier 2?
Tier 2, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I understand that it was people from different backgrounds that had the same, just making a lot of excuses. Like, all of us just making excuses, and I look back at it and I'm like, oh, like, that's just an excuse. It's nothing. You could have turned a different way. You could have did something else, but you didn't. You think that this will cover up the problem, and it's not really covering up the problem, because the problem is going to be there tomorrow.
Okay, so was it able to help you figure out how you can stay sober, how you can live a sober lifestyle? Did you?
I mean, going to the AA meetings, it wanted me to go. Even when I go in the world, I want to go to the AA meetings. I want to go, like, because the one that they have in Springfield, they was more like family oriented. So it's like, I want to go there and stay sober.
And you think just going to the AA meetings are sufficient?
Yes.
Because there's, having a sponsor that helps that, when you get that urge to drink, then there's someone that you can call and talk it through.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah, I'm willing to do all of it because, like I said, I have kids that look up to me. So I can't go down the same path. I can't do it. I can't afford it.
Yeah, but Mr. Sheppard, it's good that you're saying it, but you need to have an action plan on how you're going to stay sober.
Gotcha.
And very important, because you're lucky those two DUIs didn't turn out to be a lot more serious.
Understandable.
So, you completed the second chance program and you're taking courses as non-tech
Yes.
community college.
Yes.
Okay. And the end result is that you want to get a bachelor's degree.
In engineering, yes.
Oh, in engineering.
I'm going to school for CNC right now, but I want to transition to engineering.
And did you start the Voices program yet?
I start Monday.
Monday. So why do you think that that's an important program for you to take?
I mean, it'll give me another insight of what I did wrong, like, or look at it, reflect at it different, what I did wrong, I'm not too sure what Voices is, but like I heard about it.
So Voices is about, the crimes that you've committed.
Okay.
And who it has impacted.
Okay.
So it's not just you and your children and your family. It's the people and places and your community.
Okay.
That you've also victimized.
Okay.
So that's really what it's about.
Okay.
Now, you didn't think that your sentence was fair, but do you know why you got?
I mean, I understand it now, because when I look back, like I said, when I look back, that I could have hurt somebody or I could have hurt their family. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really like, when the question was asked, I didn't, because I'm looking at it like in my perspective, like I really didn't get in trouble as much, but I deserved it. When I went back to my dorm, I deserved that time. I deserved it.
Well, you have a failure to appear first. And had you shown up for that date,
Yeah.
probably would not have gotten it.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not a jail person, so it's like, you gotta understand, I really take care of my family. So for me to disappear from my family for a long time, I'm gonna be honest, I was scared and I was nervous. I'm gonna be honest.
I hear you. And one of the good things is you have not had any disciplinary reports where you are,
Mhm.
and you have a dorm job as a janitor.
Yes.
Okay. So you seem to have turned your, I don't want to say your life around, but your thinking and you're acknowledging, your behavior. So going forward, when you go back in the community, what does your relapse prevention plan and release plan looks like?
My release plan? Well, I'm gonna finish school. I'm gonna finish my school, and then I'm going to AA. I know I'm doing that, and like I said, I wanna open a food truck and a barbershop. I wanna make sure that my kids, because I have an older son that's growing up in Hartford right now. I just want to make sure that he don't go through the same thing that I went through. You know what I'm saying? So.
So you have 4 children. Were you supporting them?
Yeah, I help, but I got a son in Pittsburgh. Right now, I actually have a court date today that I'm going to court for my daughter in New York to get visitation rights. So it's like, I got a daughter in New York, and then I got a daughter in Springfield, and my oldest son is in Hartford. I just don't want him to go through the same thing because he's already curious about what's going on and about me and stuff like that. So I just want to be there for him and make sure that he don't go through this, because you don't have to go through the same path.
Right. So, Mr. Sheppard, before you can be there for your children, you have to take care of your criminal behavior. Do what it is that you have to do so that you can earn a reasonable income that you can provide support for your children. And I'm glad that after you leave here, you're going to court for visiting right? Because
Yes.
you want to be a good father. And you sound like you have been, but because of your criminal activity, you were not able to set a good example for your kids. So I know part of the problem why you said you had DUIs was when you had problems and you didn't know how to address it. So have you figured out now what you have to do?
Yeah, I can't drink. I'm done with drinking. I'm done with drinking.
But it's not just that.
Yeah.
You were having problems with one of the children's mother, and
Yes.
instead of trying to resolve it, you took up drinking. So what happens the next time when you have an issue with one of the mothers and you're not able to resolve it? What do you do?
Walk away from it. Walk away from it. I'm literally just done drinking. Like I'm not smoking cigarettes, nothing. I understand the question, but I'm so serious that I'm done with drinking because I feel like the drinking led me to all these different cases and stuff like that. I'm literally just done because I don't want to put myself in this situation ever again.
So you know that if you are active, working in school, doing what you're supposed to do, you're no longer be selling drugs because you know what that does.
I already know.
Okay. Now, you said that you want to go to your cousin's house in Broadbrook.
Yeah, Broadbrook, Connecticut, yes.
Okay. And you have family support.
Yes.
Now, you also said you were married, but you're now divorced.
Yeah, I'm divorced now.
Okay. And you're going to pursue the CNC.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have any further questions. I just want to wish you the best of luck, Mr. Sheppard. And I hope all that you've shared today that you're, the same. You're going to walk the talk.
I'm serious.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you.
Mr. Sheppard, I listened to everything you had to say. I want to challenge some of the things you said, okay?
Okay.
So for instance, you saying, I know I have this drinking under control. I want you to be mindful that you're currently in a very structured environment where it's a little more difficult to have access to alcohol. When you go back out to the community, it's going to be everywhere. So from tier 2, you should have learned your triggers, different tools for avoiding certain situations. And I would encourage you not to get too confident. It's very easy. We hear all the time people go out and say, well, I can have one drink, or I have this under control. So I just want you to be aware, it's not going to be as easy as, thank you, you know exactly what to do, as one might think. So what are your triggers?
Well, like how she said, like, I know, like, when I was married and we used to get into arguments,
Yeah.
I used to want to drink. And now I feel, now that I'm aware of that, I know now to step away, to walk away from that. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay, what are other triggers?
I really don't have other triggers too much.
Did your friends or family drink?
Yeah, but like, it'd be like on special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like really the only time when I ever like drink bad. Like, I don't really like, cause I always worked, I was going to school, to college out there, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I never really like, it was just a bad time with arguing and stuff like that. And that's what was my way of washing it away.
Yeah. Okay. Until today, you were making a lot of excuses. To be honest, when I read the documentations, I really wasn't impressed with your presentations in the past until today. Saying things such as you were forced to sell drugs because you couldn't find a job after the DUIs. But you now know that it was all you're doing. You got DUIs, right? You made choices to drive while you're under the influence. So what could you have done differently when you had trouble finding employment?
I could have found an under-the-table job. I could have, because at the time I was going through the case, so I had to get money up to save. I could have cut grass. I could have shovels. I could have done other things than selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know.
Did you ever work with temp agencies?
Yes. I
You
always
hear very
have.
often people go to temp agencies and then they end up getting hired somewhere.
Yeah,
They do a good job.
I actually had a job in Manchester, but when my background, when the case came, they didn't let me work there. It was I always had a job, always.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing that you said multiple times is that you realized that you could have hurt someone. But the truth is you were hurting people. You're spreading poison throughout your community, right? You're feeding the addictions, people who are suffering from addiction issues. Fentanyl, we see on the news, people are dying every day.
Yes.
Because of fentanyl. And the reality is you're not checking in with your clients after you sell them the drugs, so you don't know who's overdosing and dying and who's surviving, right? So you really were hurting people and hurting your community.
And I regret every little thing. Like I said, when I took a step back and looked, when she asked me those questions, and I went to my dorm, and I was like, dang, I was hurting people and I was hurting their family. I could have did anything. It could have been a lot worse. So
Sure, yeah.
So I'm very aware of that.
Did you have a valid driver's license before you received these DUIs?
I had my permit at that time.
Okay. So you weren't supposed to be driving anyway?
Yeah, it was late at night. It was my birthday. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to drive.
Yeah, well, there's no exception for the permit for your birthday.
I know. I understand.
All right, so you have to just change your thinking and do things legally the right way. And be a good example. You mentioned your kids. You want to be a good dad, and you don't want your kids to end up where you are right now. And the only way to do that is to lead by a good example.
Correct.
Okay, do the Voices program. We need you to do that program, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Mr. Sadowskis.
Yeah, hi. My colleagues have asked most of the questions that I had. I just wanted to touch base on your college courses. What classes are you taking now?
Right now, I'm in intensive algebra right now.
Okay.
At this moment.
When does that end? How long are those classes?
Excuse me?
When does it end? When does the class end?
December, I think around the time I finished Voices,
Okay.
which is kind of good. Which is kind of good because I want to get that class out of the way. Because when I go home, I want to continue. Like I want to go to the next semester.
Yeah. So your plan is to enroll at the same college? Can you just continue with that school online, or how's that going to work? When you?
And CNC, you have to be hands on, so I have to be there at the college. I have to learn everything on hands on.
Have you figured out a way to get from where you want to be sponsored at your cousin's house to? Have you figured that out? You're not gonna drive.
Yeah, that's why Broadbrook is really like not that far from Asnuntuck. It's like literally like back row from here. So that's why I put Broadbrook, Connecticut, because it's close. So.
Okay, understood. All right, that's the only question I had, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, give us a few minutes to discuss your case and deliberate. We'll get back to you shortly with our decision. Ms. Chance?
So, one thing I can say today is Mr. Sheppard's not very different than, his doing what we read. But he's doing a lot of positive things. He has acknowledged that he was wrong about, his previous comments about not having a problem with alcohol. And the fact that he was selling poison to his community. And he's addressing that. He is in completing the CNC. And I would like to see him finish that because he had started it before back in 2022, but it just never seemed to have been completed. And I feel the Voices program is important for him. So, he could, his eligibility date is April. So I don't know if we can grant him today with a December date. And rehear until he's finished.
He's not eligible until April next year.
Right.
December date?
Once he's finished with the Voices and the.
You can bring him. Yeah, we wouldn't bring him back next month.
Or.
Well, I'll tell you where I stand. I do hear that Mr. Sheppard's in the beginning stages of change. I think this is new for him. However, with his limited criminal history, I'm sure this lengthy incarceration is doing him as well. And he doesn't like being there. He has things to do out in the community. He's clearly a great guy who was in school. He was in school at the time he was arrested and has plans and goals for himself. He does have until April, and during that time, he can finish the Voices program. So I would be willing to grant him to parole today with conditions. Mr. Stauskas?
Yeah, I'm in the same position. Obviously he's not going to be able to drive, so he needs to make some plans during this remaining time to figure out how he's going to get around and work and go to school. And I'm also in favor. He's done some good things, OTRs. He's got a job, and I'm glad to hear that today when he came that he presented differently than what we read about.
Mm-hmm.
So because that made a big difference for me.
Okay, we're on the same page? Okay. In the matter of Tyren Sheppard, inmate number 359379, I'll move to grant parole on or after April 13th, 2025 with the following additional conditions. You're not to consume alcoholic beverages, and you are not to operate a motor vehicle without the permission of your parole officer. You need a license anyway. Is there anything further? Is there a second motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, you understand?
Yes.
Finish that Voices program, and we wish you the best. Keep working on yourself, okay?
All
You
right.
have big plans, they're all achievable.
It's going to get achieved. Thank you.
Good. Can't wait.
Write down your release plans.
This concludes the hearing for Tyren Sheppard.
Oh.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Torres. Today is Friday, November 1st, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information and preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Rosado. I'm Jennifer Zaccanini.
Good morning, Joy Chance.
Good morning, Robert. This is
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Good morning, Jonathan Rosado, inmate number 406235.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Jonathan Rosado, inmate number 406235. He is serving a sentence of 4 years and 6 months jail with 5 years probation to follow for criminal possession of a firearm, threatening first and larceny third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of May 11, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed Voices, Second Chance Pell, and Quinnipiac University Inside Out program. Mr. Rosado is also currently participating in Tier 4 with a completion date of March 20th, 2025, and the MAP program, which is scheduled to end June 19, 2029. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Rosado, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
All right, good morning. First and foremost, I'm a little anxious right now. I'm having a lot of anxiety, but I'm going to try to do my best. So I just wanted to make that clear off the rip. Good morning, panel. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for allowing me to be here today. I recognize the fact that being granted parole is a privilege and not a right. Today, I find myself incarcerated because of my lack of being able to rationally make the right decision making while having been engaged in my drug addictions. I want to go on the record and apologize not only to my victims, but to my family, community, sentencing judge, as well as DOC for outrageous criminal activities which brought me to this predicament today. I let everyone down, but most of all, I let myself down. And for this, I take full accountability of all the actions that landed me here, and I'm fully responsible as well as the only one at fault for everything. I allowed my drug addictions to take over not only my life, but my thinking, behavior, and actions. And even though I had the resources to treat my substance abuse and mental health issues, I did not take advantage of it, and now find myself today more regretful than ever because I'm now paying for the consequences of my actions and decisions then with my life now by serving out my jail sentence. Today, I now realize that my life is worth so much more. I'm deeply missed and needed by my family. At a time when I was needed most, I left behind my then 16 and 3-month-old daughters to be cared for and raised alone by their mother, who also had a 10-year-old child of her own. I commend her and give her much acknowledgement because she has truly done as well as continued to do an incredible job of raising all 3 children. Today, those then 16 and 3-month-old girls are now 3 and 2 years old. And even though I'm blessed to interact with them during occasional visits, there isn't anything more important than a father being emotionally and physically present in the lives of his daughters. A father sets the example and standards for what type of man those little girls allow into their lives when they grow into young women. Last year, I suffered the loss of losing my father to a sudden heart attack and was deeply impacted by it. In a sense, I am in a state of disbelief, and still am struggling with the grief of losing him so suddenly. It was July 18th, 2023, and because of the then COVID restrictions, I was not allowed to attend his funeral. I wasn't able to have the opportunity to touch his casket. I wasn't able to kiss his forehead one last time. I didn't have the chance to tell him my last goodbyes. Instead, I was only given the option to have my family send in a 20-minute video of the service, and that's all I was given for a lifelong period of someone who gave me so much, who showed me so much, and in the ending, this is all I had to say goodbye to. Pictures for me to look at, left only to dwell in my thoughts and regrets and be reminded for the rest of my life just where I was during his last moments. This for me has been my biggest lesson of all throughout my incarceration. The harsh realities of the fact that if my ways aren't corrected and changed, then this in itself will continue to be my reality. Feelings of the grief and sorrows of losing loved ones while being incarcerated. My children growing up and going through life on their own, looking up to others and possibly calling someone else dad. And me sitting here incarcerated, continuing the cycle of having my freedom decided in the hands of others. After the loss of my father, I begun self-sabotaging. I had been removed from the time program and received my first DR. I begun self-medicating to try to cope with my grief, and even though I stayed out of trouble for the remainder of 2023, my raging thoughts, anger, and hurt came to surface in the beginning of this year when I misplaced all these feelings at an officer and found myself being taken to SAG. For the next 6 months after this incident, even though I was working with my therapist here, I'm working on how to cope with all my feelings and thoughts. I wasn't being fully honest with myself about what was one of my biggest problems, if not the biggest, my self-medicating. I had begun Tier 2 in June, and after beginning to try to start my recovery process again, at about my second week into Tier 2, I tested positive for Suboxone, and because of my distorted thinking, had prepared myself to give the urine of another, but then reneged. Throughout the next 10 days, I spent in SAG reflecting rather than dwelling in my own self-pity and looking at my DRs as just mistakes. I decided to see them as learning experiences, and when released from SAG, begun to do my best to never go back. I made the decision to apply for medicated assistance treatment and attempted to be prescribed Suboxone the right way, but due to the criteria required to do so, was unable to. However, I took advantage of my only other alternative, which was methadone. Since then, I have been in MAT group and working with addiction services to take back control of my life. Fast forwarding now, being enrolled in the time program, I'm learning once again about recognizing that my feelings turn into thoughts and that those thoughts lead to behaviors. I have come to the overall acceptance that no matter what happens with this hearing today, I will one day be released. But the disease of addiction is a lifelong sentence for me. And the success of my sobriety is contingent upon my ability to be able to stay away from certain people, places, and things that are detrimental to my recovery. I know that no matter what, as an addict, I will always experience certain feelings which will bring about certain thoughts, but my behavior does not have to be the same. I don't ever have to come back to prison. Voices told me that the victims in crimes aren't just those only involved in the incidents, but the families of those who commit the crimes as well as the community around it. Today, I don't want to continue victimizing my community, family, and children anymore. I don't have to be a statistic in my neighborhood. I'm blessed to be able to have the resources I have waiting for me after release. The opportunity to work again with my former employer, even after being gone for 2 years now, is truly humbling. Continuing medicated assistant treatment as well as psychotherapy and counseling with Cornell Scott Health Center will continue providing me with some of the tools vital in my recovery, as well as even parole supervision if granted. These are all guardrails to keep me on the right track. I hope that the sentence imposed on me was justice enough for my victims, as well as judicial system and community, and can be given the opportunity to prove not only to them, but to myself that I have what it takes to succeed.
Thank you for your statement, Mr. Rosado. We have questions for you. When we're done with the questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today. So, Mr. Rosado, your presentation here today is very different from what I read in your file, your interview with the parole officer. So when did this change, if the disciplinary reports that you've received, when did this change really come about? When specifically?
I honestly would like to say that I believe that it started to come about right around the last time that I caught my DR, so right around June, July, around that time frame. I understand that it might be different than the interview that I was given with Ms. Torres. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing, but since then I've been trying to do my best to really
Spur of the moment thing.
Say that again?
You said it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. What are you referring to?
I had so much prepared because I had been given a date like I had told her, and I had like a lot of different things prepared to show my in-house parole officer, which originally was told to be Dunkley, and then I was swapped to Torres. So it was just, maybe I didn't tell her all the things that I truly did want to.
Okay, I'm more referring to the things you did tell her. For instance, when she asked you about your weapon, your response was technically, there's no gun. What does that mean?
Yes, because even though I pled guilty to criminal possession of a weapon,
Yeah.
I was convicted of it because it was used during the commission of the crime. However, there was no physical weapon. So I was trying to choose my words wisely because I was kind of seeing it as like I wasn't seeing it for actually what it truly was, which was just.
Did you have a gun or not? It's a pretty basic question. Did you have a gun?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what difference does it make how you pled, or what the question was, did you have a gun? The answer is yes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so this stuff about how you pled and whatever, we don't care about that. We care about guns on the street.
That's my point. I understand that, Miss.
If you're being honest, you don't have to worry about how you answer questions. You just tell the truth. Okay, so why did you have a gun?
I had a gun on me that day because my father had called me stating the fact that a woman on the first floor that lived at his house had gone upstairs with 6 other individuals and put a knife to his neck and threatened his life.
Okay.
When he told me that, I became enraged. My father was 60 years old at the time. He was a very sick man, and I became enraged. When he was inside of a vehicle when he told me that. When he saw how enraged I became, he told me to pull over the vehicle. When I pulled over the vehicle and he got out, it just so happened that the individual who had went upstairs into his apartment with those other men was coming out of the corner store with her children. And that's then when the police report and everything that it says that she stated is that when it became into play.
Okay, we're gonna back up. You already had the gun when your father called you. Why did you have a gun?
An incident had already stemmed prior to that. So I was already under investigation for another incident that happened prior to that, of where an altercation had happened at my father's house as well with me and those individuals from the first floor. So because I knew that they were looking for me to do harm, obviously, and I knew that they were known to carry weapons, I was keeping a weapon on me as well.
Okay, so at which point did you file your police report regarding this matter?
And I dwell on that every day, Miss. I dwell on that every day. I actually also think about the fact that my father should have called the police as well.
When did you file the police report?
Never, and that's why I say that I dwell on that,
Okay.
because I know that that would have been the right thing to do, ma'am. I now know that the street code of not snitching and everything, that's a fake thing. That doesn't matter in life anymore. And I know that because of that so-called code, it causes so many individuals to be in my predicament as well. Because had I done that, I might not be here today.
It's criminal thinking. This is your 3rd gun conviction. How many times are you have illegal discharge of a firearm, right? Criminal possession of a firearm, and now another criminal possession of a firearm. That's 1, 2, 3. 2018, criminal possession of a firearm. 2022, illegal discharge of a firearm. And here we are, 2023, criminal possession of a weapon. It's from your rap sheet. It's from your rap sheet.
I've only pled guilty to two gun convictions. This is my 2nd gun conviction, ma'am. I was incarcerated in 2018. I spent from March of 2017, and I was released in July of 2019. I pled guilty in 2018, yes, but I had been incarcerated since 2017. Now, when I was released in 2019, I ended up coming back incarcerated in April of 2020 and was released in October of 2020. In the summer of 2021, I was charged with the case that I'm now here for now, and then ended up pleading guilty in the year 2022. and have been sentenced since February of 2023. I've been convicted, yes, of 2 gun possessions, but this is technically my second gun conviction.
Okay,
I have
so let's call it your second. That's
Yes,
too
yes, ma'am.
many.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm
Yes,
gonna
ma'am, I
have to look at
agree.
the rap
I
sheet
agree.
because
I
if
agree.
our records are wrong, we're gonna fix
One is
that.
too many. One is too many, ma'am. One is too many.
Just said that.
completely agree.
So it's your mindset, that's the problem. It's your criminal thinking, that's the problem. That's what needs to change.
It's the thinking that it's the thoughts that lead to the thinking, and it leads to my behaviors. I understand that, man, which is everything that I'm trying to work on still now. Recognizing the thoughts that lead to those behaviors. If I recognize the fact that I'm upset, I have to take a moment back to reflect and actually think to myself if the behavior that I feel myself about to engage in is truly worth it. Because in the ending, it's not.
So let's talk about your tickets. So you come
Yes,
in
ma'am.
prison after making horrible decisions and you received 6 tickets.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
The first one was from being removed from the time program, like I had stated. I ended up staying out of trouble for the rest of last year, and then the beginning of this year. Ultimately, it was just because of like my self-medicating. Like it was a after my father's death, I wasn't able to really cope with it. I was very upset with DOC. I'm gonna be frank. I was very upset with the Department of Corrections because I wasn't able to even attend his funeral. I was upset with everybody. I was upset with everyone around me. So by using Suboxone and letting it alter my mind in the way that I shouldn't have been letting it, everything came to surface towards the beginning of this year, which I actually give myself credit for because those thoughts and everything, I have been having them since last year. And towards the beginning of this year, I did let it come out to play in January when I had an altercation with an officer where he shut down the bunk. That was when I caught the second and the third ticket. And then after being given the chance to begin tier 2, I was still self-medicating using Suboxone. And that's where I caught the third and the fourth ticket. And the last one was for a phone, I believe.
So
But ultimately, it was just.
you mentioned all the other people that you were upset with. Were you upset with yourself for going to prison and not being able to go to your father's side?
The most. I was upset with myself the most, yes.
Good. All right, so listen, I do hear the change in you today. I really do. I think there's still a lot of work to do, right? What do you think you could benefit from?
I think I can benefit, obviously, from still continuing to engage in this program of tier 4. Being that it's my second time, I got a lot out of it even my first time there. But right now, I'm working it a lot more than I did last time. Last time I was engaged in it, but I wasn't working it the way that I was now of sharing in meetings and actually giving it a chance of being able to get rid of that state of mind of that street code of where the snitching and this and that. I use the brother's keepers box now. I hold myself accountable. I write down the things that I do wrong on a piece of paper and I drop it in the box, and that's something that I wasn't doing last year. So trying to get rid of that criminal thinking, like the way you put so much emphasis on, that's where I find myself changing at in these days, man.
Okay. I mean, we already pointed out, you were removed from tier 4 once before, right? And you were removed from tier 2. So it's very important that you follow through with this program and absorb whatever you can from it. You need the tools for when you go out in the community. I was a little disappointed to see that your attendance in the Voices program was rated as fair. Why were you missing the program?
Because I had begun tier 2 and Voices all at the same time. And because of the 10 days that I did in SEG for the ticket that I caught of my tier 2 program, I was lucky enough that Ms. Barcombe even let me finish Voices. So the attendance was marked as fair because of the days that I had missed due to being in SEG for the tickets that I caught from tier 2.
Again, all of you are doing, right? So you didn't fully benefit from the program because you had fair attendance because you went to SEG for your ticket. Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to see you do a little more. And I really do hope that you'll follow through with tier 4 this time because you do need it. But it sounds like you have changed some. You have a good plan for when you're in the community. And hopefully we don't see you back because you've been given opportunities at community release and you've never been successful. We want to see you be successful.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Sikauskas.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So I read, about the incident with the gun that led you here. And I know you talked about possession, but in reading the police report, there's some indication that you fired off the gun a couple times. That there were other people involved. Is that what happened?
Yes, sir. The police report and my truth are very different.
But you do admit that you had fired off that gun. I understand that you're according to your description of it, there were other people shooting guns off too, right?
Yes, sir. My vehicle was fired upon, and the first shot went through the windshield of my car and almost hit the passenger. And I fired upon in my self-defense, obviously trying to defend myself, and I left the area.
And you completed a voices program. I know your attendance, and I understand what happened, wasn't the best, but just thinking back about what you learned in voices and the fact that you were firing off a gun in like a residential neighborhood where you know that there's kids that live, right? Because you at least know that this person that was involved with it had kids because you had been to the house before, but I'm sure that there are other children that live nearby. And you could just imagine all the things that could have went sideways with this, right? Can you just talk about how your actions of firing off a gun in a residential neighborhood where you know there's children, how that could affect those people? How do you think they felt about this?
First and foremost, because of the whole incident, I jeopardized another person's life that was in the vehicle, which was my daughter's mother, and she was 9 months pregnant at the time. And had she not put the seat back, that bullet would have hit her stomach because it hit the door. And that's the honest to God truth. Now, in regards to my actions of firing back, 1000%, sir, I agree with you that it's never usually the people that are involved in these incidents that get hit. It's always somebody innocent. We hear the stories time and time and time again, and it would have been heartbreaking for me to know that I wouldn't have been able to even live with myself if, God forbid, somebody else would have bared the consequences of our actions that day, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 9-year-old doing her homework in her room.
So basically, voices told me that even though I used to think that a victim was just the person involved in these incidences, but now I'm realizing that it's the community, like you state, sir. It's the community. It's also the families of the victim and the person victimizing the people as well, because my family is suffering behind this as well, just like I'm sure the victim's family suffered their griefs as well. And it's more than just the people physically involved in the incident, sir. And that's something that I've come to learn now through that program.
All right, that's what I wanted to know and see if you're understanding, the magnitude of what we're talking about. It's just not possession of a handgun. There's a lot more involved in this. This is like an epidemic in these communities where people unrelated to these things are getting shot. They have nothing to do with anything that was going on. And it's not good. So, you need to recognize what went wrong and think about what you're going to do in the future,
Yes, sir.
I read something in here about you're taking college classes. Is that still taking place?
Right now, I'm currently, because of the tickets, they waived them for me to be involved again in the time program. However, thanks to Ms. Eagleson, Counselor Supervisor Eagleson, she re-enrolled me into the Connecticut University Inside Out program, which is also giving me 3 credits that are transferable. So even though I'm not in this semester with SNUNTEC, I'm in this semester with Quinnipiac, which I can then transfer my credits to SNUNTEC for my next semester in January, I believe. But yes, I'm still currently taking up general studies as well as a business management certificate. I began this process years ago, actually, inside Boski, and this is the first time that I actually see myself continuing to do this in the community. I want to transfer those credits to Gateway Community College in New Haven and continue to finish, because I actually now have I'm almost halfway there now with getting my associate's degree. So I don't want to let it be in vain. I want to actually finish it this time, sir.
Okay, so good. You have a plan. That's what I'm asking about, is that don't let all this work go to waste, right? You're trying to move forward from your past and just keep asking the questions, trying to roll in these classes. And when January rolls around, you're back to the community college stuff. Keep in mind what's going to happen, right? What you have to risk if you get another ticket, right? All this is all going to go away, all these programs. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So that you can't have any more tickets. I mean, you sound like you learned from what happened. Unfortunately, the situation with your father passing, it threw you for a little loop, but I can tell you that's not gonna be the last time someone close to you passes away, right? So,
Yes, sir.
so unfortunately, you're gonna have to be able to deal with those situations in a way that you're not going back to using or, having all of this anger and trouble about the situation that happened. So you gotta try to do your best to just stay on track and keep moving forward. And stay enrolled in those college classes, and then have a plan in your mind for how you're going to translate that into some kind of college situation when you get out. These are all the kinds of things you can do for your kids, so that you can have a job where you can help support everybody and maintain some kind of positive life when you get out instead of ending up
Yes, sir.
back. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about your release plan? Like, what do you see in the future? Like, where will you live and work? What's the best case scenario for you, and how do you plan in the community to maintain your sobriety given your struggles in the past?
Well, like you were saying, sir, about the employment and everything. So at the moment, like I was stated in my speech as well, I have my former employer. They're willing to retake me again, which is just that's something I'm very happy about because not everybody is that lucky. So I do have an employment opportunity. Cornell Scott Center was the health center that I was working with before I came in. That's where I was getting my Suboxone. Right now, I'm decreasing my dose of methadone because I don't want to continue on it. I was using it almost like as a crutch because I wasn't able to legitimately get the Suboxone. So right now I'm tapering myself down so that when I am released, I can go back on Suboxone with Cornell Scott Center, which is what I was getting it with prior. So that's in regards to that. And like I had stated as well about the people, places, and things, I know that my neighborhood obviously isn't the greatest. I'm from New Haven. So I have resources. I have my cousin in Wallingford that is willing to let me stay with him to get out of New Haven. So even if I were to do parole out there, I can go to meetings outside of New Haven. But like I was stating about the school as well, the school is in New Haven. So continuing the school, just taking these programs serious, like I had stated to the lady down here, I forgot her name, but the lady at the bottom, about using that brother's keeper's box, keeping myself mindful of holding myself accountable, that even if I do relapse, let's say, I have to be honest about it and even use parole as a guardrail. That's what I was stating about using even parole. I used to see parole and probation as these things that are just there to get you in trouble. I now find myself in a spot where I'm not scared to tell my parole officer or my probation officer, listen, I'm struggling right now and I need help, and even utilizing services that are there that I might not know about. So using even parole and stuff like that is vital also, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my questions. I'm hearing some change. You're heading in the right direction. I encourage you to continue doing all those things you're doing. And you have to do your best to stay away from the tickets. You're gonna have to find a way. Right? That's not gonna help you, All right,
Yes,
I'm gonna pass along to my colleagues and see if they have any other questions.
Thank you, sir.
So just one or two, Mr. Rosado. So for me, it's important that you finish the Tier 4 program because you have made so many attempts in the past and did not complete it. I do hear you saying today that you're in it now and you're truly getting something out of it. But you also are going to have to come up with a really good release plan for when you're back in the community. I'm sorry to hear about the death of your father. I do think you have more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you need to focus on yourself and trying to overcome, your 2 gun charges because you violated probation twice with guns, and you see what happens with guns in the community. So we can't have that anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Okay, we're gonna talk about your case. You can listen to us, of course, and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision. I do want to clarify, you have 3 gun convictions, but you're right, 2 of them are from this sentence. Were you aware that you were also convicted of illegal discharge of a firearm?
Yes, I just did. I thought you meant like possession, criminal possession. I thought it was 2 possession charges is what you meant.
The legal discharge, I would argue, is worse than a criminal possession, right? That
Yes,
means you're out there
yes.
fired. My point
Yes.
is, now with 3 gun convictions on your rap sheet, you're running out of opportunities. You know, you really have to turn it around, because we're not gonna take you seriously in the next time you come back with a gun when we look at your rap sheet and there's already 3 convictions, right? You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here's where I stand with Mr. Rosado. I do hear some change. He presented much better than I expected based on his interview and the technicalities and all that other nonsense that we hear. He's taking the programs and he is engaging. He has some plan for when he's released, and most importantly, he has some insights and he knows he needs to change his behavior. So initially, my intent was to come in here, deny Max, you know, go to the end of sentence, but at this point, I'd be willing to rehear the case after he completes the chair board program, maybe some aftercare or meetings, whatever else he can do. But I'd be willing to rehear the case. He has until August of 2027, and he's not even eligible for parole until May of 25.
And I'd like to add, I would like to see him be able to show us that he can go a year at least without DVR, you know what I mean? And have some stretch of time that he can deal with the stressors of life and prove to us that he can maintain himself and not get into disciplined situations. So his last DR was in July of 2024.
Mhm.
So I would definitely be able to be here. I'm interested in making some good changes, taking college classes but I would like it to be after that.
I had it denying a rehear. With no ERs and legal problems, obviously, you know.
I was thinking 9 months, which gets us to August
That's
25. It
Yep.
would still be, you know, almost 2 years off of being under supervision.
And he would have to remain, a year.
Of course, yeah.
For
Yeah,
his last one until August.
all right. Okay, in the matter of Jonathan Rosado, amendment number 406235, I'll move to deny parole at this time due to inadequate program participation and poor institutional adjustment, the disciplinary reports. We'll rehear the case in August of 2025, 9 months from now, with the recommendation that you complete the Tier 4 program and any other positive programs and refrain from any more disciplinary reports. Is there a second? And all in favor? Aye. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, ma'am.
We're gonna give you another shot at this. We just want to see you do a little more work, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Take care. Wish you the best.
This concludes the hearing for Jonathan Rosado.
Good morning, ladies.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me 1 second.
All right.
Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Torres. Today is Friday, November 1st, 2024, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. I'm Jennifer Zaccanini.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
My name is Kailyn Smith. My INMATE number is 407-724.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Kailyn Smith, INMATE number 407-724. He is serving a sentence of 5 years, 6 months flat for criminal possession of a weapon. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of May 14th, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender completed voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Smith, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may be called.
First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for even giving me an opportunity to come up here and present myself and reconnect with my family. So for that, just alone, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Second, I want you guys to know I'm not going to sit up here and make any excuses. I take full accountability for all my actions, the interactions that I caught before I came to jail and while I was in jail. Third, I don't know if anybody from my community is watching, even though I don't have a victim inside my case, I still have a victim with the voices of my family, my siblings, my children, and my community as well. So I feel that I should get granted parole because before I came to jail, I didn't know who I was at all. I was hanging around people I shouldn't have been around. I was a follower. I didn't love myself. I didn't even love my kids, to be honest with you. I didn't know what was going on in my life. When I caught the case, I knew that I was on a run for 3 years, probation violation. I pulled over. I wanted to get everything done with automatically. I didn't try to evade the police or anything. He came, I took accountability for the firearm that was in the car. And once I bonded out of jail, everything went downhill. I got a job. I was working at Wendy's for a little while. I started working with my mother for her candy apple business and stuff like that. And then February 2nd of 2022, I was in an accident. I got shot 5 times, still being around the same people that said that they was my friends and that they loved me, but come to find out they was never for me at all. Once that happened, God really woke me up and let me know that I had something to live for because I was fighting for my life. Every spot that I got hit at was all vital areas. I'm here today and I stand before you. I know I made a lot of bad choices, but I'm not a bad person. A lot of mistakes as far as fighting tickets in jail, but I was just adapting to being with the big boys at first because I never really been inside a big boy jail. I just been in NYI in Hartford Juvenile Detention in Long Lane. But when I came here, it was different. So my first few tickets that I caught, my back was against the wall. As far as the first 2 tickets, somebody stole a rug from me, and when I went to go approach him about the rug that was taken off my bed, one of them swung on me and hit me. I swung back. Another one tried to jump me to somebody, my monkey, he jumped in and he escalated him for jumping me. It was a fight. My second one, it was over a phone call. The phones was down, the tablets was down. I tried to get on the phone. Everybody was in a heated, it was so hot, so everybody was in a heated, like, commotion going on. I got on the phone, the dude hung my phone call up. I interacted. I spoke with him first. My third one, I was going through so much stuff at the time. I lost so many people during this incarceration. I lost mad valuable time with my kids. I lost loved ones that was very close to me, also a child, and I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move anything. Then I started going to church. I started finding people that had longer time than what I had, and they started teaching me about myself, things that I didn't know about myself. And it's crazy because a lot of people were scared to change. My problem was I didn't want to change at all. Now that I stand here before you today, when I came to jail, I was 26. Today, I'm 28 years old. I feel as if I don't just need parole to go home. I need parole to actually help me and aid me and help me with my foundation and my stability as to when I get home. I can use the programs that I do need to help me for my children. The halfway house, the counselor Joseph, he said that if everything goes well with me today, he's going to introduce me to the Welcome Center. I'm also working with somebody named Marlon Thornton, a project manager for Project Longevity. He told me if everything goes well, he's going to help me out as well. I just want to change my life. I know today I stand here before you. I am a changed man. I did a lot of bad things and I made a lot of bad choices, but I own up to everything that I ever did. There's no excuse for nothing I did. There's no excuse for anything at all that I did. And I just wish that you guys would give me a chance to reconnect with my family. And whatever I have to do, I do it. It's important to me. It's detrimental. I miss my family. I miss my mother. I miss my kids. I had so much time taken away from them, and I feel like it's time. I'm ready. I feel it. I feel it in my whole body. I feel the energy. I never felt this energy that I felt before. And one more thing. Officer Torres asked me when she came to do my interview. She said, "What are your triggers?" And at that point in time, I didn't really understand what she was saying. But now I understand. My triggers are people's, places, and things. The people that I shouldn't be around with, the things that I wanted to do, and the places where I shouldn't be, because that's what got me in a predicament where I almost lost my life in the first place. I just hope that you guys can see that I'm a changed man, and I ask that you please give me a second chance. I'd like to reconnect with my family so I could build a better life for myself and my kids. Also, one more thing, I completed voices and I tried to get myself into more programs as well. But when I got the receipts right here, when I wrote the getting the anger management, the lady said that it was not on my OAP who said that I had to do the program, but I asked her, I just wanted to get in it to learn more skills to deal with what I had going on at the time. And I also tried to get a smart recovery tier 2 because one of my peers in my dorm, he was telling me about tier 2 and that they got different skills that you could learn stuff about. So I wanted to actually just go there just to learn and see what was going on. But for the most part, I ended up just picking up books from the library, how to deal with anger, how to deal with toxic people, how to find out if you're a toxic person. Like, I'm just ready to change. And for that's why I feel like I should be granted parole.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Smith. Happy birthday. How many more birthdays are you going to spend incarcerated?
Hopefully this is my last one. Hopefully this is my last one.
How many birthdays have you already spent incarcerated?
I spent 2.
Well, 2 on this. Any other ones?
Not really. This is my first ever big bid that I ever did.
Right. Yeah. All right. We have questions for you, sir.
Yes,
When we're done
ma'am.
with our questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Sadowskis.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
In your opening statement, you mentioned that you have been shot 5 times in an accident. That doesn't sound like an accident to me. Were you cleaning? Yeah, cleaning the handgun, a gun goes off, that's like an accident. That's not what you're describing 5 times. It doesn't sound like an accident. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Before, this was after I actually had the gun. I had the gun in 2020. When I bonded out of jail, I stayed away from the places and the things that I was doing and the people that I was sitting around for a while because I realized ain't nobody checked on my mom, nobody helped me out. It was my family that helped me bond out. This actually took place 6 months before I came to jail in 2022, February 2nd. I was actually with my little brother and we was in Hartford and the shots rang out. It was in front of a store, the shots rang out. I just so happened to get hit by all the bullets. Nobody else got hit by any of the bullets.
Okay, so do you know if these people were ever arrested? Did anything ever happen with that?
I believe so. I know that the Hartford Police Department, they reached out to me and I honestly didn't know who had anything to do with it because, as I said before, I was really at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I didn't know what was going on, or if I should have never even been on that street moving around. But at this time and point, it was me and my little brother was with females, and they shot at the whole crowd. Okay. And I was just the one to get hit.
All right. So the day that you were arrested in the car, can you just explain to us why you were driving around with a gun and marijuana in the car?
Yes, sir. When the day I got arrested in the car with the gun, to be totally honest with you, I I brought the gun from somebody who was just, I didn't need the gun. I didn't need it at all. I brought it because I had the money to buy it at that time. I wasn't thinking. I was just being foolish. I was young. I was being childish. I didn't even need the gun. My girlfriend said, "Why did you buy?" When I grabbed it, she said, "Like, why did you have the gun? Why did you buy this for?" I told her, "I don't know. I like the way it looked." When the police came and pulled me over, I already knew what it was, but I was so tired of running and having to look over my shoulder. I just pulled over. I was ready to get everything over with at that point in time. I was ready to get everything over with. As far as the marijuana, I was smoking a lot of weed. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was smoking a lot of weed, but it wasn't. I didn't have a lot of weed on me. I just probably had about like 2 eighths, and that was just all personal use. For the marijuana, it was personal use.
Okay. You said when they pulled you over, you were ready to turn yourself in, but reading the police report, it sounds like you gave them a different name when they.
At first I was nervous. Yes, sir. At first I was nervous.
That doesn't sound like you're ready to, like, be honest and change and take care of the situation. You were trying to get away.
No. Absolutely, you're correct. At first I was nervous. I didn't know what I really wanted to do at that point in time, but I know that I didn't want to keep going on with running around and being on the run. When they got behind me, I could have evaded them and tried to get away, and I felt like everything would have just been worse on my behalf. So I just stopped. He ended up knowing who I was. It wasn't no point for me to even keep going on and try to lie and give him a different name because they knew who I was already. So it was just like, all right, everything is mine in the car. I owned up to it. I didn't try to fight with them. I didn't give them an attitude. I didn't argue with them. I really, honestly, truly was ready to just get everything over with once it happened. At first, though, I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was nervous, but I had to realize, like, it's some at one point in time, something gotta give. Like, you can't just keep running away from your problems.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna eventually, right? It's gonna come ahead. Something's gonna happen.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So I see you did complete the Voices program. I know you said you had some trouble getting into some other programs, but you did complete Voices. Can you tell us about what you learned from that program?
What I learned from Voices is that not only you don't have to have a victim in your case for the voices of the people to be a victim. A victim could be a sibling, a victim could be a child, a victim could be your mother, a victim could be the community. With Voices, it's all about what goes on around you, and you have to be detrimental and think about how other people feel at that time. I watched the video with Voices, and it rubbed me the wrong way because it was a 911 call, and the female, she kept calling and kept calling and kept calling. She was calling out for help, and her husband was abusing her and abusing her and abusing her. And the kids tried to call one time. The cops will come. They didn't do nothing about it. And the last time that the kids called, they showed up there. The mother was dead. The husband beat her to death. So that also taught me as well that sometimes the kids don't gotta be the victim, but they're reaching out and they're telling people as well. They're the voices of the victim that's going around. They're telling people, like, we need help. We're crying for help. We're crying for help, and nobody's giving it to us. So I also learned that it is always a good thing to know what you're dealing with. Like today, before I would have thought it would have been wrong if I seen a female in the world and a man hitting on her and I didn't do anything about that. To me, it wouldn't sit good, honestly, but learning the Voices, pick a phone up, call the people. You can walk by them and act like you don't have to necessarily get involved, but you can call the police and you can act like you're not really paying attention, but you can walk with them and let the police know what's going on at the same time so that lady could get saved, or anybody that's a victim of any domestic or anything that's going on. Just pick up the phone and try to help people, because those are the ones that matter, the voices of the people that are victims of serious crimes and in cases of domestic violence and stuff like that.
So we're just gonna talk about your tickets a little bit. So
Yes, sir.
you know, it's concerning, and I want you to understand too, that you're trying to get to these programs, and I hear you saying that you want to do the right thing, and you want to learn and grow and be a better person. And the tickets are going to hurt you. Do you know that that hurts you when you're trying to get these programs?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good look for you when you're trying to ask for a program and then they look, well, this guy's had all these things recently. You know what I mean? He's not trying to improve himself. You know, you need to try to make the improvements and do the things you can, like you said, reading, doing different things. So that way you can get into the programs and
Yes, sir.
let go of all this other stuff. You know what I mean? With trying to prove yourself or whatever it is that's going on. You got, you know, tickets for assaults and fighting, intoxication. These are the same kind of like impulsive behaviors that you were doing outside and then now you're doing it inside. So it makes me concerned about the level of change that you've actually made. You know what I mean? So we look at that to see, like, is the person changing? Or, you know, are they rehabilitated? Are they ready to be back as a productive member of society? So we need to see that you don't have a lot of disciplinary reports, you know?
Yes,
Can you talk about why you're having such a hard time adjusting? I understand you said it's the first time for you. You know, why you're having such a hard time adjusting and like what you're going to do going forward here to just try to remain ticket free, you know?
To be totally honest with you, the last ticket that I caught was, it was totally a horseplay. Me and my QB, we was like throwing water on each other, but we wasn't necessarily really playing, throwing water on each other like a water game, but he threw water on me, I threw water on him. But it wasn't no incident, it wasn't no argument. We didn't fight, it wasn't nothing. It's just the female that was on shift at the time outside Bow Street, she called the code. But when I got here, Lieutenant Olette, he looked at it, he said, really, dude, a water fight? You know, like, he said, this shouldn't even be an assault ticket. So he ended up waiving my contact visits and gave me my contact visits back because he felt that assault ticket wasn't really supposed to be that, like, it wasn't supposed to be that charge of the ticket, an assault.
If that was the only one, then we could probably explain that away, right? It didn't seem like it, you know, we do see sometimes people are horse playing, whether wrestling or doing other stuff, and then they get a ticket for fighting. I get that. You know what I mean? So you have to try to avoid those situations the best you can, but that's not the only ticket. You have other stuff. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
And I'm on for you want me to start down the line? You want to know what happened for all of them?
But just generally, like, why do you feel like you're having a hard time adjusting? Are you done with the tickets now? I mean, do you feel like
the tickets? I haven't, before I caught the last ticket, I haven't caught a ticket since 2023. And like I said before, sometimes, to be totally honest with you, sometimes you have to defend yourself in this environment that I'm in. Sometimes you have to defend yourself. And like I said before, when I first came down, the first ticket I ever caught, somebody stole my rug and they stole my food. And when I went to press him about the food and the rug being stolen off my bed, all I wanted was my rug and my food back. He swung and he hit me. I hit his friend.
Yeah, is there another way you could handle that? I mean, you know what I mean? So that it didn't end up this way? You think there's another way? Is there someone that you could have talked to, your counselor, anybody, to resolve this without turning into a fight?
I mean, I could have, but then if you really think about that, if I would have talked to anybody any other way, they have rules in here. And the rules that they have rules in here, and the rules that they go by, that would have it would have been worse for me. Okay. I would have put myself in a worse situation. At the time when everything did happen, the guys who took the rug and the food from me, it was at least about like 5 or 6 of them. So when I went about the situation, I didn't go and into the situation hostile, or I just asked them, I'm like, bro, just can I have my rug back? Can I have the food back? Like, somebody said they saw you. The person who was washing my rug said that such and such a name gave him the rug. And he's like, bro, I'm not giving you nothing back. Like, either pack your bags or we're gonna go. I said, bro, if I gotta pack my bags, and if I gotta go, then somebody gotta go as well. I'm being real, somebody had to go as well. And he just punched me. Once he punched me, I hit him back, and then his friends jumped on me. And then my own bunkie, he jumped in and he helped me. And that's how that situation went for the first time.
You're gonna have to try to find, a way, you know what I mean? So you don't get to that point, you know what I mean? I wasn't there, you know, the facts of it, but you're gonna have to try to find a way in these situations to think about the consequences. I know it's a very quick situation, but think about, now you got yourself in a situation in front of us.
That's
And then you got these tickets over nonsense and, you know, you could have prevented it somehow, some way. You really have to think about the consequences. That's what I'm talking about, impulsivity. Like, you have to take a second to try to think about what's gonna happen if you get into a fight. You know what I mean? Is it negatively gonna affect you with your programming, with us, and then you don't have the right programs? The whole thing starts to fall apart, you know?
Yes, sir. Correct. You are absolutely right. And I thought about that as well. And after it's like you said, impulsiveness is real. And moving forward, I've been out the way. I don't get in trouble. You can ask any of the CEOs here. I brighten the room with my smile. I'm a fun-loving person. I'm not hostile. I'm not violent. I don't like getting into fights. I don't pick trouble. It's just I was going through a lot of stuff. I was going through a lot of things when I first started my bid. I was really adjusting to being in jail with the big guys.
We're gonna move on from the tickets and move on to some other stuff. Can you talk about your release plan? Where is it you're gonna live and work, and how are you gonna remain crime-free when you're out in the community?
I have a great support system, but to be honest with you, I chose to go to the halfway house because I know that parole can help me with a lot of things. Right now, I'm working on getting my ID, my birth certificate with Counselor Joseph. I just filled the papers out and brought them to the mailbox today. So I should be doing that soon. And moving forward, as far as getting into the Welcome Center, Counselor Joseph said he's going to help me with that. So when I get into the Welcome Center, I'll be able to do more things and have more. It'll be more options for me to take, more options for me to do when I get home. As far as the job, I have somebody that's ready to employ me at the CNS warehouse. My other friend, he said he's ready to employ me at Juliano Pools, and my mom also has a job. She runs her own business, a candy apple business as well. I just really, honestly, I need the halfway house to actually really help me. Like, it don't matter if I'm in there for 9 months. I need the halfway house to help me, and I need parole to help me. Anything you got, any program you guys can give me that I can help myself with, I'm willing to take anything. Okay. I need the help.
So, talking about programs, different things. Have you received your high school diploma or GED?
No, sir, but I have an account for Penn Foster.
Okay, what's that? Can you explain that to me?
It's a schooling online. So I had my people set it up for me just in case I made it there today. I've been on the waiting list for school here.
Okay.
And they just haven't got back to me. The lady said it's a long list. So I'm just waiting for somebody to get back to me. But if everything goes well here today, I can assure you that my GED, I will get that within the next 6 months or 9 months, completing the steps on Penn Foster schooling.
Yeah, so that should be a big part of your release plan. When people start asking you about what you're going to do, you talk about where you're going to live and where you're going to work and your plans to do these things. Your GED's, it's like the foundation of getting better employment. You know what I mean? So in addition to doing any kind of work you can get, you need to be working on your GED when you're out. So that way you can, advance yourself and get, a better job later.
Yes, sir.
So it's important to just, include all that as part of your release plan.
Yes.
Can you just talk about what you think might be a risky situation for you? Like when you're out, you haven't had a good, record of community release in the past. You know what I mean? You were, like you said, you're on the run for probation. It looks like there's an escape charge in there. Your record of being on supervised release in the community is not good. So, what do you think might be a risky situation for you when you get out that might lead you to violate your parole? And what's your plan to handle that? Say you run into old friends or whatever.
My plan, my risk is people, places, and things, sir. I don't have any time. I can't waste any more time. I can't.
So what are you gonna do? explain to us what you're gonna do when you run into one of your old best friends that, you know, it was from a time in your life that was not good, and you know that this person is not somebody. What are you gonna do in that situation when you run into them at the store, gas station, whatever?
I don't have any words for them. Nobody helped, nobody loved me when I was locked up. Nobody held me down when my stomach was touching and I didn't have no food to eat. Nobody came, they don't love me. They don't love me. My family love me. My girl loved me. My kids love me. They don't love me. They don't want what's best for me at all. They don't. They're not good people. They're not good people to be around. And if they are watching, it ain't nothing that I have to say to any of you guys. Because honestly, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need nothing from you guys. I don't want to be around you guys. I don't want a friendship. I don't want a bond. I don't want a conversation. I don't want nothing. I love who loves me. And everybody that loves me, they show me here with the support. Even you, I feel like even you guys love me more than the people that you just brought up. You guys love me more than them. Giving me a chance to go home. They don't want nothing good for me at all. Because if they did, I'd be in a better situation.
Yeah, well, we certainly want the best for you, and we want to try to do the best we can to make sure that, you know, you receive the right programs and services so that way when you get out, you can be successful. We don't want you to come back here again. You know, this sentence, right, was 5.5 years. That's a long time, right?
That's a lot of time, sir.
Yeah. What do you think they're going to do if you get out and you get arrested with another gun? What do you think this says? It ain't going to be 5 years.
Huh. I won't get arrested with another gun, and I won't even go near a gun. I'm telling you right now.
You understand what happens with sentences? You know, you start getting more, and then it goes up. We see people with a lot more than this for the same thing because they just keep repeating the same behavior. You know.
Yes, sir.
So if you get arrested again for a gun, you can expect that it's not going to be 5 years. It's probably going to be more. You know.
I don't even want to. It's crazy because people say they don't want to think about that, but it's reality. It's real life. Like you gotta think about that because I know I don't want to be in here for 10 more years or even for the rest of the 3.5 remaining years that I got left. I don't want to be in here. This is not for me. Jail's not for me at all. Period.
You need to be thinking about all these things and making a plan in your mind so that when something happens and you get into a car with somebody that you see that has a gun, like what is it you're going to do? You know what I mean? You need to go through these things in your mind so that you're not in this situation again. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
Thank you for speaking to me. That's all the questions I have today. I'm going to pass it along to my colleagues.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, happy birthday.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
So, why do you think you need anger management?
At first, that was always my problem. Even as a child, I was so impulsive and I had so much anger built up in me. I never knew where the anger came from at all. I really didn't never know where the anger came from. So once I started working with it by myself and I started figuring out ways to cope with it and reading books on it, I wanted to learn more skills to deal with it. Because everybody gets angry, man. Everybody gets angry. But it's just about what do you do when you get angry and how do you react? If you're going to do something that's violent, or are you going to sit back and think about it like, all right, take a few deep breaths and think before you react. What can go wrong? What can lead you to be in jail for the rest of your life, or what can lead you to even just get into a confrontation that you don't need to get into? That was what I wasn't doing in the beginning of my bed. I wasn't thinking about stuff like that. I was just reacting. So when I tried to get into the anger management classes, it was mainly because of that, because I was impulsive and I was just reacting without thinking.
So, talking to us today, you still think you need that?
Yes.
Okay. So, I listened to your answering of your questions with my colleagues, and a couple of things came to mind. So, you were asked by PO Taurus to identify a high-risk situation for you in the community. And I don't know if you remember what you said, but you said it was having an argument with your family. And I know you said earlier that your family is your support system. So that was one. And then when the DR came up with the food that was, and the other stuff that was taken off your bed.
Yes, ma'am.
So listening to you talk about it, you were pretty angry because you wanted your stuff back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I heard my colleague ask you what else you could have done, but you explained what could have happened. But in looking back and what something that you learn in anger management is, you know, learning to walk away.
Learning to walk away.
You talked about what would have happened to you. So had you walked away, none of the other things would have mattered.
Yes, ma'am. That's
And if you're
correct.
looking back now, it was food, things that you could have let go,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So the other thing was I am reading about when you were previously in the community and you violated your probation and you were telling the probation officer that you needed some help. And he was very happy to hear that you volunteered for it. And then he made the referral and you didn't follow through with it. He made like 3 different referrals.
Yes, ma'am.
And the last one you said, yes, you would go. But when you went and they told you that it would take 90 days, you said that was too long. So you walked off. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So for me, I think you really need that anger management to help you manage your thoughts and feelings. And I also heard you refer to people, places, and things. And I think it could be helpful there because it's not just people, it's what you do with people. And, you know, what do you do when you're in a place where you're not supposed to be?
Right.
So I'm hoping that you will agree that anger management would be really helpful for you.
Yes, ma'am. You're correct. You're
Okay.
correct.
All right, so I'm all set. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, we did receive support letters from your brother-in-law, your mother, and your fiance. So it's very clear you have support in the community to expect to choose to take advantage of that. And like you said, stick with people who really do care about you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're done with our questioning. Give us a few minutes to deliberate about your case. We'll get back to you shortly with our decision.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Smith presented very well, to answer all our questions and took accountability for his actions. And concerned about the disciplinary tickets and his inability to be able to find other ways to deal with these situations and kind of make impulsive decisions that just get him into these problems and not being able to get programs, just leading to other issues. So he has been able to manage to get by since July without a disciplinary ticket. So he's on his way. He says he wants to do better. He has support and he wants to work, get his GED. So he's saying all the right things. I just, for today, I'm not ready. I haven't seen a level of change. And as we talk about some of these programs, I think he needs some more programming. And his institutional adjustment at this point, he needs to distance himself from these tickets a little bit further before he's ready to grant him parole.
Thank you. Ms. Chance?
I agree. I think it would be very helpful for him to participate in anger management and any other positive programs and no DR and really come up with a good release plan. He has it all, he just needs to put it together.
All right, so he's not eligible until May, so why don't we bring him back in 6 months?
Right.
He's gonna be getting out before that anyway.
Yeah. Right.
All right. In the matter of Kailyn Smith, amendment number 407724. I'll move to deny parole at this time, but rehear the case in May of 2025. Denial has been found for reason for institutional adjustment, the tickets, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Anything else?
Committed while on probation if we need it.
We don't need it. No, let's work on one of two.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna recommend that you take anger management and any other positive programs that you can get into, and you have to avoid any more disciplinary reports before your next parole hearing. Oh, did
Yes,
I?
ma'am.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, sir, we'll give you another crack at this in 6 months, and like I said, you're not eligible until May anyway, so we'll see you then. Good luck to you.
Thank
Keep working. Keep working.
Thank you.
Good luck.
This concludes the hearing for Kailyn Smith.
Ladies.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Torres. Today is Friday, November 1st, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, sir. I'm Jackie Bagnini.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Please state your name and INMATE number for the record.
Derick, Sarra, 410-980.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Derick Sarra, INMATE number 410980. He is serving a sentence of 11 years, 5 months flat for conspiracy to commit home invasion, felony while home. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of May 21st, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender completed voices, tier 2, and unlocked their thinking. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Sarra, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning, ladies. I want to start by saying thank you for you guys for this opportunity coming before you guys. I want to say my deepest apologies to the victims and community. Why I should be granted parole. I take full responsibility for my time. Was the time I given fair sentencing for me? Yes, because I believe I have bettered myself in different aspects of mentally, physically. No, because the family might and still be scared for my dumb decisions. I deeply apologize to them. I have bettered myself these 9 years in a lot of aspects, as done multiple programs. The most important thing I learned on these programs is that taking responsibility, accountability for your actions. As in recently, I have waited 2 jobs standing by. My mother has a landscape company. She wanted to hire me, put me under her roof. My plan is, if I'm granted parole, this big opportunity for me, a second chance in life. Get as much help as I can. I've never been incarcerated more than 3 months. Move forward in life. My support, my daughter, my mother, my wife, my cousin's family. Those my support system. They're willing to help on anything they can. I just want to move. I just want to continue moving forwards in this second chance of life. I came to prison a boy who thought I knew it all, but I'm leaving as a man who learned enough to never regret this privilege from you guys that might give me out my freedom, second chance in life. I very much appreciate you guys seeing me, and I hope I'm granted to opportunity to succeed in life and my 12-year-old daughter. Thank you guys for this time.
Thank you, Mr. Sarra, for your statement. We have questions for you, and when we're done with our
Yes.
questioning, we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today. Okay, we'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Chance.
So, Mr. Sarra,
How you doing, ma'am?
tell us what happened.
Excuse me?
Tell us what happened.
What happened
Yes,
on my case?
yes.
Oh, I was young, following steps from my co-defendant. I knew I wasn't doing the right thing, but I was young and dumb, pardon my French. And honestly, I have no excuse for that, because at the moment I knew it was wrong. I learned a lot, and I regret it every day, every second, every minute. After
So how did you come to be going to these people's home?
excuse me?
How did you come to be going with this person to this home?
To this person's home, we were
Yes.
supposed to buy a car. We were supposed to be buying a car. All broke loose. I was outside. I went in the house, and that's how everything went down.
So your co-defendant
Yes,
told you that you were going to this house to buy a car.
that's what he said.
And so you went to the house,
Yup.
and what happened?
I seen that they were talking, and I don't really recall anything, but I got shot. Everything went blank after that. I only know what I'm told, what my police report says.
You blacked out?
Yeah, I got shot. I don't really remember anything after waking up in the hospital.
So you and your co-defendant rang the doorbell, walked in the house,
Yes,
then you don't know what happened.
no.
I don't understand that at all.
He told me we were supposed to buy a car. I'm waiting outside. I go see what's going on with him, and that's where all that take place.
But you did go inside with him.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So why do you keep saying you were in the car?
I was outside at first. I went to the house to verify what's going on. He's taking too long. So as I'm going in the house, that's where everything took place.
No, Mr. Sarra, it's just not making sense to me.
Or not?
It's not making any sense because if you said both of you are going there
Yes.
by a car,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't read that anywhere.
Excuse me?
I didn't read that anywhere.
You don't find it real?
It's not making any sense to me. And you're saying today that you're apologizing to the victim and the community, but what are you apologizing for?
I'm apologizing for my actions, my misbehavior, my wrong decisions,
What was your
my, excuse me?
What was your action?
My action, my wrongdoing, going in the house, knowing, not knowing, but seeing what's going on and not stepping up to avoid the situation, stop what's going on, talk more. That was my wrongdoing on my behalf. And I take full accountability and responsibility for it.
Okay, so now it's making a little more sense. So, have you talked with your co-defendant?
If I'm what?
Have you spoken with your
No,
co-defendant?
no, ma'am, no, ma'am.
So you have taken programs. What programs have you taken and how have you benefited from those programs?
I have taken, fatherhood. I have managed to, get back in contact with my daughter. I had taken voices. I learned that communication is everything, and you can't always just resolve everything with anger. Communication is key, and you always gotta communicate. Is the other thing I learned on lack of thinking is that.
Okay, so let's take one at a time. What
All
did
right.
you learn in voices?
Voices, I learned that everything in life has a meaning, and then you gotta see the meaning of it behind it. Meaning that if I'm wrong, I learn from other programs. I learn responsibility out of all of them. That's number one.
Okay,
That's
so Mr. Sarra, the purpose of the Voices program is to help you to understand the impact of your crime,
Yes, ma'am.
the victims, their family, your community, and your family.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm waiting to hear you say, but you're not saying it.
Yeah, ma'am. That's why I said responsibilities. I knew my actions as soon as I came to jail, and I knew I was in the wrong as soon as I came to jail. Before I even came to jail, I knew I was wrong, but my wrongdoing was not stepping up, not putting a stop to whatever I seen that was going on, not knowing how to communicate, not knowing what the victim might go through, not knowing what my family's gonna go through, not knowing what the community gonna go through. Because that impacts a lot of people, not just me, not just the victim, it impacts everybody. And that program taught me how to take fully responsibility for my actions and knowing how to not let that happen again in a future reference.
Okay, so what about tier 2?
Tier 2, tier 2, I learned that in tier 2, it was more of trying to better myself as a person, as a human being, understanding the action behind the responsibility behind the actions. And me growing up, I came in 19, I'm 28. I thought I knew it all. I didn't know enough. So I was growing up, I seen things, I hear things, and I acknowledge them, and I learn from them.
So Mr. Terry, you said you dropped out in the 9th grade. Have you thought about getting your GED?
Yes, ma'am. I have tried so many times in here. I always transferred. List is full. I'm on the waiting list as we speak. I have tried in McDougal. I only needed 20 more credits, and I would have got my GED. I also got that lined up as soon as I.
Wait a minute,
Yes, ma'am.
so you took some GED classes
Yes, ma'am.
and you just needed 20 more credits?
Yes, ma'am.
And what part of the GED? There's 4 parts to it.
I'm in the math.
You mean
part.
the math?
Yes.
So part of the problem is, Mr. Sarra, you've received all these tickets.
Yes, ma'am.
In June, you had one for fighting. So can we talk about your tickets?
Yes, ma'am. Honestly, I could come up with excuses, but I'm not. Wrong environment. It was just, I couldn't avoid what was going on. I couldn't. As much as I
Tell me
tried,
about the last one you got in June of this year,
that was the fighting one, right?
right?
Yeah, I was saying, I was trying to avoid it as much as I can. Officers seen it, officers told me you did your best, but it was just,
No, but explain to me how the fighting.
yes. I had let him use some shoes of mine. He sold them, and I was just like, yo, where's my money? And he's like, oh, I'm not giving you nothing. He's telling me he's gonna max out. So he's like, I don't care about nothing. You got a lot to lose. So I'm like, bro, you can keep them. So since he felt some type of way that I came up to him, so he just like, oh, I don't care. We can go. I'm just like, you can keep the money, keep the shoes. I don't really care about it. I tried to avoid the situation as much as I could. Officer was right there seeing me avoid it as much as I could. And he just like, he hit you further and he kept on hitting you. You just had to do what you had to do.
Was there another way that you could have handled it?
I was walking towards the officer and he still was hitting me.
And you couldn't just keep walking.
Yes, I was. I was backing up from him.
But I'm saying, instead of turning around and hitting him, you couldn't have just keep walking as you said you were doing.
I was doing that. The officer told me I was tolerating the right, but the officer, by the time he called the code, he was on me already. I was walking as much. All the officers told me you don't deserve to be inside because you was avoiding the situation.
Okay, so you had another one for assault.
Yes.
What happened with that one?
That one was, it was more of bad phone call and then him disrespecting me. There's no excuse for that one. It just, I wasn't in the right state of mind and I don't know, it wasn't clicking, to be honest. I was in the wrong on that one.
So what program do you think would help you to figure out how to deal with these assaults and fighting and, security tampering and what else do you think that could help you?
I have done all of them, to be honest. It's just more of an environment thing. It's more an environment thing because I try to adapt. I try not to adapt, but adapt. You get what I'm trying to say? To my surrounding. I try to be as close as I can because I know I'm closer to go home. I'm trying to better myself as a person. And it just like, it just keeps pushing. These past 9 years, I learned patience, understanding, communication, and I have taught myself to stay away from people like that. And it just happened to keep coming back to me.
So how do you avoid it?
I avoid it by just staying in my bunk, staying away from everybody.
So, you said that, or according to the PSI, and I know you were only 19, but you were working.
Yes, ma'am.
Due to transportation.
Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of plans have you developed for when you're no longer incarcerated?
My plan is, I already have 2 jobs on standby. As soon as I'm able to leave, I got 2 jobs on standby. Also, I'm looking into, Amazon or UPS factories. My cousin, he's a manager at a welding company also. They're all willing to help me as soon as I get out. They all want to see me do good. They know that I'm a way better person than what happened. So they all disappointed in me that took place. And, you know.
So you want to go to live with a friend in Bridgeport.
Yes, ma'am.
You also said, you know, you're from Massachusetts.
Yes, ma'am.
That's ultimately where you want to go.
Excuse me?
And that's ultimately where you want to return to.
If that will be an option, absolutely, ma'am.
Do you have for support in the community, and where do they live?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Who?
Arlie Rosado. That's my girlfriend, her mother, and her mother's husband
And where do they live?
in Bridgeport.
Okay, and so your mother and your sister and your daughter.
Yes, they're all in Mass.
So you said you had a job offer in Massachusetts where you talked about your cousin.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
you want to go to Bridgeport or you want to go to Massachusetts?
To be honest, if I only said Massachusetts because if I'm able to take that option, I would love to. But if you guys want me to stay in Connecticut, I also brought the second opportunity, having a job out here.
I want to go back to something that you said about the victims. And you said you thought that they might still be scared.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you think that is?
That is because I went to the similar situation when I was younger in Puerto Rico, and I was young, and I still to this day see that happening. And I know that that little kid, his mother, his father, still seeing it the same way I'm seeing it now. And I'm talking about when I was 6, 5. So I can only imagine the dramatic, is in their brain.
And what would you say to that now?
I want to say my deepest apology. I regret every second for 9 years of what went down. I didn't step up accordingly to knowing that it was wrong.
Okay, so, you have a record in Massachusetts. And so this is, I believe, the longest sentence that you have served.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you feel that you are ready to go back in the community?
Yes, I am, ma'am. I've been ready for so long, and I just want to continue our life, get as much help as I can, work, and just continue working, give back to the community, and I just want a second chance at life.
Just one last question. You said you had completed the anger management and fatherhood program.
Yes.
Where and when did you complete them?
Fatherhood, I completed in this facility called Robinson.
When?
2021. around August. I have the certificate also. And like you said, anger management?
So were you in classes for the fatherhood?
In classes, yes.
Okay. And the other one you said was anger management.
Anger management, that was in McDougal.
And did you attend classes for that, or did you complete paperwork?
Nah, paperwork, completed paperwork. Both, it was really both.
Okay. I have no further questions, but thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So,
Appreciate
Mr.
you, ma'am.
Sarra,
How you
just want to
doing?
clear up a few things. So you came from Massachusetts solely to go to this person's home, right?
Yes,
And you're telling us here today that you believe you were going to buy a car?
that's what I was told.
Okay, so why would you need a gun to go buy a car?
Why do I need a gun?
You heard me, right?
I ain't had a gun.
You did have a gun.
No, I didn't.
Well, so who had the gun? The police report says you had the gun.
They ain't find no weapon on me.
Who had the gun?
My co-defendant.
Okay, again, why would you guys need a gun to go buy a car?
I don't know. Too much. We have $20,000.
So I don't believe you. I'll put that out there. But let's assume what you're saying is true, that you believed that you were going to buy a car.
Yup,
This man had a gun put to the back of his head and his back door. At
yup,
some point, don't you think, oh, shoot, we are not here to buy a car?
yup.
So why enter the house?
We was in the house.
You were going
That's right.
into the house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't there. I was in the car. That's what I'm trying to get to.
You had a third person with you. Why was that
Yes.
person never identified?
I don't know, ma'am.
Did they ask you for his name?
No, they didn't, ma'am.
Nobody ever said who drove you to that home to commit that home invasion.
No, they didn't, ma'am. I was in the hospital unconscious.
I understand, but later on, there was an investigation. You met with the police and you gave a statement,
Yes, ma'am.
and no one ever said who drove you there, who else was involved in this case.
Who else? I don't know the person, ma'am.
Oh, so you didn't know the person,
No, I did not, ma'am.
but he came with you from Massachusetts to buy this car.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see why this sounds a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, this is a horrible, horrible offense, and you
Absolutely.
chose the wrong guy to run or try to, because you end up getting shot. You and your co-defendant, one of them, end up getting shot and injured yourself. We're
Absolutely.
lucky nobody died here, right?
Thank God.
I will give you that you were young. You were a teenager at the time, and you made a very poor choice. But I don't believe that there were no signs there that something bad was going to go down here. Do you know why this victim was chosen?
We were supposed to buy a car. I just went
Well,
because
you
he told
weren't.
me.
We now know that you were not going there to buy a car.
Okay. I just went because he wanted me to go with him. I wasn't trying to come. I didn't know where Connecticut was at. I don't know nothing.
Yeah,
I was just trying to go along.
it's your job to know. Okay, it's your job to know who you're with,
Yeah,
right? When we have illegal weapons, what we're gonna go do, that you have to know. You're an
Yeah.
adult, make your own decisions, but you have to know. When I
Yeah.
get in someone's car to go for a ride, I'm pretty sure there are not gonna be any weapons and we're not gonna commit any crimes,
absolutely.
right? You understand what I'm getting at?
Yes, I am. Yes, I do, ma'am.
And your co-defendant was a longtime friend of yours. You guys lived together. So
Yes,
it's very difficult to believe that you had no idea what was gonna go down. And the victim said that you told him we were sent here to hurt you. Why would he make that up?
Say what? Come again, ma'am?
The victim said that you told him during the offense, we were sent here to hurt you.
Ma'am, I was in the car the whole time.
You
I
weren't in
just
the car
said-
the whole time. You were shot.
I just-
You couldn't have been in the car the whole time.
I just said when everything was taking place, I walked in the house, because it was taking long. I walked in the house, and that's when everything took place. I don't know what was going on. All I see is guns everywhere, and I try to avoid the situation. I end up getting shot.
Yeah, so your version's very different from the official version and the version that the victim gave. You understand that?
Yeah, yes, I do, ma'am.
All right. Have you read the police report?
Yes, I have, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And even at sentencing, you heard that the victims were still afraid of you. They were afraid to give a statement. And he shot you. You still, I mean, and that poor child and the mother who had
Yes,
to
ma'am.
live through that, wondering if they were going to survive.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I really hope, I wish you had done better with your tickets, with your programming, with everything. I wish you had done more, given what you took from the community, because, you know, it's people like you who make us afraid at night. We lock our doors. People keep lights on to go to sleep, different things. So you really need to work on yourself. And you
Yes,
have,
ma'am.
it's not like you have probation to follow where you're going to have additional support in the community and programming and supervision. So you really needed this time to work on yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sadowski.
Yeah, my colleagues have asked most of the questions. I just do want to point out that there is a video of this incident that is in conflict to what some of the things you're saying. So, in addition, your co-defendant, he said that he was going with you. You know, so he gives the opposite story. He does not say that this was his idea. He was going along with you and did not know what's going on. So we're just hearing a lot of different things, and it's unsettling that at this point in your incarceration, after all these years, that we're not hearing the level of change and accountability that we'd like to hear at these type of hearings. That's all. And I really don't have any questions for you at this point, so I'm going to turn it back over to my colleagues.
All right, so at this point, we're going to deliberate. You can listen to our discussion, and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision. Ms. Chance.
So I'm just very disappointed with Mr. Sarra because his version of what happened is just so different than what I read in the police report and the transcript. And he said he took programs, and when I asked him what he learned in the programs, he was not able to articulate. He didn't even know what the voice program meant or what knowledge he gained out of Tier 2. So I have not seen any change in Mr. Sarra. This was a very, very serious crime. And he's taking responsibility for his actions, but I don't know what his actions are because they're very different than what was presented. So I have Mr. Sarra.
All right, so here's the dilemma we face here, because Mr. Sarra came in at 19 years old. So he has no supervision to follow. We can certainly deny him and let him go to the end of his sentence, which is July of 26. And then he goes out the door after having been incarcerated since the age of 19. You know, a decade of his life. That's a scary, risky situation as well.
That's
Right?
what I need.
He could use, please don't interrupt us. We know what we're talking about. He could use some supervision and support. It's unfortunate that courts put us in this position here. I was trying to see if they looked at him for a halfway house here. Let's see. Let's see what.
Says,
He's
got to be
probably,
reviewed. He's eligible on 213.
he's not eligible until next year, so.
So, you know, I'm almost tempted to bring him back in July and see what he can do in the meantime. Maybe get into additional programs, do whatever he can to stay out of trouble and really try to grow in the next 8 months so that maybe he can present differently and get a year of supervision. That's where I stand. What are your thoughts, Mr. Sadowski?
Yeah, I don't like this flat sentence. Based on what I heard today, you know, I'm not ready to grant him parole, that's for sure.
Right.
I would be willing to rehear him in July, and I would encourage him, hopefully he's listening now, to come up with a better release plan that's,
Yeah.
more accurate. I would also encourage him to reflect on what his actions and his role were in this crime today. When he comes to the next hearing, they're gonna ask the same questions.
Yeah.
And him not being able to provide the answers is not gonna help him at the next hearing. He's gonna be back in the same situation, so he needs to do better at the next hearing. And, if it wasn't a flat sentence, I wouldn't even be having
Right.
that conversation,
Right.
to be honest.
Okay. All right, in the matter of Derick Sarra, inmate number 410980, I'll move to deny parole at this time, but we'll rehear the case in July of 2025. Denial is due to poor institutional adjustment and inadequate evidence of offender change. Is there anything further? Is there a second? All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Okay, do you understand what we're doing here? We're gonna bring you back in 8 months. We really need you to work on yourself and stay out of trouble, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Come up with a good plan the next time for your next parole hearing. We wish you the best.
I would have thought 9 years was enough, but you ladies have a good,
You
I see
too.
that.
This concludes the hearing for Derick Sarra.
All right, I think that might have been the last one for the day, but we'll see right now if we hear anything else or if it resets. Oh no, it's not the last one. We still have some more coming up. All right, never mind. Let the games begin or continue.
Is this hearing concluded?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Can you just state the time of the conclusion of the hearing?
This concludes the Carl Robinson hearing. 11:18.
Oh, never mind. That's it. It's over. Hey, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll be back on Monday. All right, today's the 1st of the month. It's Friday, and hopefully you guys are having a good day. And this is Collect Call James, and you are watching You Have a Collect Call From. And like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out.